review anything, freedom to criticize, review anything, freedom to criticize, review anything, doesn't matter what it is, make your opinion heard, even if you sound absurd, keep away from the octopus tentacles.
I'm sorry everyone, but today I'm having to babysit my cousin's child. So it's going to make my third review very, very difficult. So where do I begin? Well... Well, that was lucky. My cousin came to retrieve her baby. Welcome to Review Anything, the show where we review everything and anything. My name is Sour Apple and I will be your host. Let's switch on the review generator and see what we're reviewing today, shall we? The Rugrats Trilogy. 3 films based on the cartoon series Rugrats.
Rugrats followed the adventures of 4 babies as a toddler called Angelica told them lies about the adult world. The series focused heavily on the imagination of the babies, resulting in fantasy sequences that took up most of the episodes. It aired in 1991 and lasted for over 10 seasons, until it ended in 2004. Rugrats was created by American producer Paul Germain, who had gone to create Recess, and the Hungarian husband-and-wife team Gabor Kosopo and Arlene Glaske. These Hungarian influences gave the designs of the show a very European look. The characters have these odd appearances that one critic referred to as cottage cheese heads. It's not surprising to see unusually contorted designs in a classic Kosopo production. You'll notice that most of their projects have creepy abstract character designs.
By the way, I'm explaining the TV series first so that you actually understand what I'm on about when I'm critiquing the 3 films ahead. If I didn't, then you'd be like, what on earth is he on about? Is he on drugs?
Let's have a rundown of all the babies and toddlers. First there's Tommy, a brave, bald-headed baby full of courage and a strong concern for others.
And then there's Chucky, a little ginger-haired guy who always has...
No, not that Chucky. Chucky Finster, a nervous scaredy cat who's the eldest of the babies. Then there's Phil and Lil. They're gross. They like to eat worms and talk about poo. That's about it. Then there's Susie, a sweet and kind toddler who's the most mature out of all the children. And finally, there's Angelica, Tommy's cousin, a spoiled little brat who only cares about herself and nobody else. So, those were the baby and toddler characters. They were essentially extreme generic tropes, but what I personally enjoyed about the Rugrats series was whenever the story would suddenly focus on the adult characters, who were the family or parents of the main characters. I don't know why, maybe because the adults had more personality than the babies themselves, plus you could really feel for them whenever they worried about the safety or health of their children. There's Stu, Tommy's father, a passionate and hard-working inventor full of optimism and strong personal aspirations. Dee Dee, Tommy's mother, a sensitive woman that worries very easily about her child and relies heavily on the advice of a celebrity doctor. Drew, Angelica's father, the uptight brother of Stu that looks down on his younger brother and spoils his daughter. Charlotte, Angelica's mother, a workaholic who also spoils her daughter. Then there's Phil and Lil's parents. Betty, Phil and Lil's mother, a tough and loud-speaking, beefed-up woman who's married to the neurotic, skinny Howard, Phil and Lil's father. I love this pairing. It's kind of cute and breaks the stereotype of married couples. And finally, Charles, Chucky's father, who's like an overgrown version of his own son.
Rugrats was a simple and harmless TV show that reached a cult status and lasted over 13 years. But it's best remembered for its synthesized theme tune that was composed by Mark Mothersbaugh of the band Devo, best known for their hit song Whip It. I say whip it good.
Two series were spun from Rugrats. A sequel called All Grown Up, focusing on the characters at a pre-teen age, and a mid-quel series about Susie and Angelica's adventures at preschool, called Rugrats Preschool Days. Both series disappointed many loyal fans of the original cartoon.
Facts, trivia and analysis aside, it's time to look through the 3 movies spawned from the Rugrats TV series.
The Rugrats movie. Released in 1998, the first outing for the babies focused on Tommy's new responsibility as an older brother to newborn Dale, as the babies end up getting lost in a forest. They set off on an adventure to find the lizard, an obvious nod to the baby's knowledge of the Wizard of Oz, but hindered by baby talk, obviously. Meanwhile, Angelica loses her role as antagonist as she goes in search of the babies, cosplayed as a detective, in order to retrieve her doll, Cynthia. Their parents, meanwhile, are trying all they can to find the children, but are having a hard time tracking them down. What doesn't help is that the brothers, Drew and Stu, are having a tiff over Stu's decision to carry on as a freelance inventor, rather than get a contemporary job like Drew himself. It's not until Stu revives an old flying invention in the guise of a pterodactyl that success is made in finding the children.
Now that you get the idea of the film itself, here's my verdict.
In my opinion, the Rugrats movie is a very messy and boring film with a scattered narrative. A majority of the film seems lost in where it wants the babies to head off to, and it seems to be obnoxious enough to think the audience will forgive the weak plot because the focus is on silly little babies. No matter what the film's characters are, the idea is to draw an audience into their adventure. The songs are a mixed bag. There's a whiny cover of Blondie's One Way or Another by Angelica.
One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you. Some way or another, I'm gonna win you. I'm gonna get you, Cynthia.
A harmless and cute pirate song by the babies.
Pirate theory goal number 1. A pirate's life is a life for me. Yeah, in the butt to love you. I get seasick on the sea. I love you. Hoist our reps our flag real high. My sword is pointed to the sky. You need a patch across your eye.
A pointless cover of Witch Doctor by some monkeys that holds up the story.
You want to learn something that I can teach to you?
I have to admit that I liked Tommy's reinterpretation of a sweet lullaby sung to Dill.
Baby, please rest your head. Now it is time for bed. Please stop. Don't you see? I want Mom and Dad for me.
There's also a funky if loud song sung by newborn babies about being born into a new world. What's interesting though is that each baby is performed by a popular singer or rapper. Be Real, Beck, Jacob Dylan, Laurie Anderson, Fife Dog, Gordon Gano, Iggy Pop, Lenny Kravitz, Lisa Loeb, Lou Rawls, Patti Smith, Dawn Robinson, Fred Schneider, Kate Pearson, and Cindy Wilson.
Where am I?
How did I get here?
Days very different than yesterday.
So this is the world?
I miss my old room.
This wallpaper here just ain't the same.
This world is something strange.
Yo, I'm cold.
I need a change.
This world is something new to me.
Angelica's role as an antagonist is replaced by a forgettable wolf villain. There's nothing to him. He's just a wolf. I know Angelica isn't a complex villainess, but she's more fun than an everyday wolf. In addition, the film has the nerves to do the cliché waterfall scene, which not only has been done to death, but done much better in other animated films. For example, in A Goofy Movie, it's used to reflect the new bond between Goofy and his teenage son Max. I do, however, like that there's a heavy focus on the theme of brothers in this film. For most of the movie, the relationship between Tommy and Dill mirrors that of Drew and Stu. I like that it has a strong focus on a running theme. The babies have a strong goal, too, to reach the lizard. even though their journey is very unstructured. There's something clever about their goal too. Like I said before, the television show was fueled by the baby's imagination. Well, with the exception of the opening Indiana Jones fantasy, the idea is dropped in favor of perception, and the best example of this has to be the lizard.
The babies themselves are the ones that create the perceived idea of the lizard being their goal. Lizard as in the mispronunciation of wizard.
What the babies later assume is the lizard is actually Stu stuck in his pterodactyl invention, giving him a lizard-like appearance. In a sense, their own mispronunciation is reinterpreted as their visual perception. Their imagination remains strong, but it's from our perspective as the audience, rather from the eyes of the babies themselves. We don't see an imaginative depiction of a lizard, we see what an outsider would see. I love that. It's quite a clever direction to take the Rugrats universe towards.
My next compliment has to be a scene that's quite sinister, but very effective. A dramatic conflict in the middle of the film.
After trying so hard to be a committed older brother, Tommy abandons his care towards Dale and punishes him. This may sound a bit silly considering that these are babies, but it's executed in a very distressing way.
I'm sorry. You.
I just wish there were more scenes like this and less filler like, can we change Dill's diaper?
Despite being quite dull and all over the place, the Rugrats movie has some highlights, and watching the film kind of flies by. Next up is Rugrats in Paris, the movie. A vast improvement on the first film, which isn't saying much though considering how flawed its predecessor was. So I can't say it's perfect. It's far from it. Chucky is longing for a mother, so this inspires his father to start dating again. Then, Stu takes his family and friends to a theme park in Paris in order to fix one of his inventions that's being used for the theme park's opera. The theme park manager, Coco LaBouche, is told that she has a potential promotion if she can start a family. So in trade for a float at the theme park's parade, Angelica helps the manager win over the heart of Chucky's father, Chaz. However, Chaz won't accept the love of Coco until Chucky welcomes her into the family too. So the film is made up of Coco trying to win the love of the Finster family. Eventually, she succeeds in getting Chaz to agree to marriage, but the babies stop the wedding, and Coco shows her true side. By the end, Chaz falls for Coco's assistant Kira. Kira and her daughter Kimmy join the Finsters, and it's happily ever after.
So here's my verdict on Rugrats in Paris. The humour is kind of limited to poo and wee jokes. It's very unfunny. And I mean, these characters are capable of being funny without talking about their human waste. But I must inform you that the Rugrats TV series did have a running shtick of toilet humour being its thing. It's just used much more excessively in this movie.
Despite a dependence on toilet humour, the characters are more focused this time, and the narrative is much stronger. However, the film does stop to have some pointless filler that holds the story up, plus sucks out any potential drama concerning Chucky's longing to have a mother. You really feel for Chucky too, as he becomes determined to have a mom, and how he's powerless to convince his father that he dislikes Coco. It's great to see Angelica serving as an antagonist too, even if she's just a supporting villainess. But she does show some remorse for her actions at the end of the film, reflecting a rare moment for Angelica to express guilt. Coco LaBouche herself is a fantastic lead villainess. She dons ridiculous costumes that change every scene, and it's awkwardly funny when she's trying to babysit because she's such an uncaring and cold character. Her motivation is the cliche rise to power idea, but she's still lots of fun as a screen presence. There's actually some memorable scenes in the film too, like a nightmare sequence where Chucky confronts his fears to an original song sung by the legendary Isaac Hayes. The song is an oriental funk track, and the visuals are vibrantly imaginative. However, the thing that I remember the most about this film has to be the climactic battle at the finale, as Coco's minion and the Rugrats themselves take control of Stu's gigantic robot inventions to fight one another at the edge of Paris. A well-choreographed climax that pays a loving homage to the classic monster movies of Japan.
I know it's just Rugrats, but this scene is so freaking epic! I love it! Ha!
Before I make a formal conclusion about the film, I should point out how fans consider the character of Kimmy to be a mark of when the Rugrats series jumped the shark. Now, Kimmy may be just a cute little Japanese girl with no conclusive character traits, let alone personality, but I will defend that she plays a reasonably important part in this film because she helps the Rugrats get around the theme park thanks to her knowledge of the park itself. Rugrats in Paris may be flawed with some pointless filler and plenty of unfunny fart and piss jokes, but I'd recommend it just for the climatic robot monster battle. It has a fun villainess and contains some tender moments concerning Chucky's longing for a mother. In addition, it opens up with a terrifically executed Godfather parody.
The third and final Rugrats movie was a crossover with another classic Cassoppo series called The Wild Thornberrys.
The Wild Thornberrys was about a little girl called Eliza that gained the magic ability to talk to animals. She also happened to be the daughter of nature documentarians Nigel and Mary Ann Thornberry. So animals became a common encounter in her life. Eliza travelled the world in an RV with her parents, teenage sister Debbie, an articulate monkey called Darwin, and a wild boy called Donnie, voiced by Flea of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Now that you understand the Wild Thornberrys universe, I can tell you about Rugrats Go Wild.
Rugrats Go Wild. The last Rugrats movie has Stu taking his family and friends on a vacation cruise, but changes his mind in favour of taking everyone on his own boat. A storm rages on in the ocean, causing everyone to be shipwrecked on an island that happens to be where the Thornberrys are currently living. The adults try to survive, the Rugrats get lost in the jungle in search of Nigel Thornberry, Eliza meets Spike the dog, and Stu tries to gain respect from his friends. The film ends with the characters from both series having to rescue the Rugrats and Nigel from under the ocean.
And that's about it. Here's my verdict.
Rugrats Go Wild is the messiest, most scattered, and perhaps the worst of all the Rugrats films, in my opinion. There's way too many plots happening, the original songs are dreadful, and this film has the most filler out of the Rugrats trilogy altogether. Eliza's magic powers are only put to use crossing the Rugrats universe when she meets Tommy's dog Spike. The casting decision for Spike is an odd choice. Action star Bruce Willis, who also provides harmonica for the film's score. The major problem with having Spike talk is that he never stops talking.
I've been sneezing all day. My sniffer's on the blink. I can't even smell my own butt, and let me tell you, I've tried. Oh, my dogness. What if I never feel their sticky, jammy fingers poking in my ears again? Hey! This is Spike you're talking to! I paddle my way to more tennis balls than I can count! If I could count! Oh.
Shut up! Somebody put this dog down! He's plagued with verbal diarrhea!
Not only does he never shut up, but everything he says makes him seem cocky and very unlikable. The film itself is a rehash of the first movie, with the Rugrats being lost in a wild jungle instead of an American forest. The wolf is replaced with a clouded leopard that has a tedious duet with Spike. With these flaws aside, the saving grace of the movie is Nigel Thornberry, whose dialogue is usually pretty funny in the Wild Thornberrys, but in Rugrats Go Wild, Nigel is hit with a coconut and spends the movie behaving like a baby. Every single word that Nigel says from then on is hilarious.
I know it! It's like my hero Nigel Strawberry always says.
The Martians have landed.
No.
Crossing Eliza's bratty older sister with Angelica works quite well too. They both share a reasonable amount of chemistry because they're so alike. Donnie the wild boy meets Chucky in an homage to duck soup, and they swap clothes, resulting in some funny moments.
everything okay, Chucky?
When did Chucky start talking backwards?
The film is swamped with over 8 or more different plots in the movie, a hectic amount to swallow in as the audience, but I particularly enjoyed seeing Stu trying hard to gain respect from his friends. I really felt for him. Another thing to point out is the film gives more screen time to other supporting characters like Howard and Susie. Susie tries her best to keep the babies focused, but the clumsy narrative isn't strong enough to make things carry along progressively.
Rugrats Go Wild has to be my least favourite out of the Rugrats trilogy. Sure, there are a few things that I liked about it, in particular Nigel Thornberry. So that's the Rugrats trilogy.
The Rugrats films aren't that outstanding, but have some redeeming factors in my opinion. I'd have to say that Rugrats in Paris is my favourite out of the 3. What's interesting though is each film is directed by a variety of European directors from countries like Ukraine and Sweden, which is great to see because they bring distinctive European animation traits to a major US production.
So that concludes my 3rd review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click like if you did enjoy it. And please subscribe to my channel, then you'll be updated constantly about each review that I'm making, because trust me, I'm going to keep making them. And tell your friends about Sour Apple, that's me! If you ask me, I'm quite sick to death of babies after dealing with a whole trilogy of them. So I'm Turns out that I've got further babysitting duties. Cheerio, chums!